WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We're taking a little break on the Maryland Crab Cake Tour. I think everybody knows I've been concocting some concoctions. We're doing the crab cake row the week of the soup or bowl week. We're going to be doing that beginning on February 5th. I'm wearing my Fadley's gear here because they've picked up all of those beautiful concoctions where they make crab cakes and they make those delicious fried oysters and they make that shrimp salad I love so much, and they're moving it over to the new Lexington Market. We're going to be there on the 5th all day long, beginning at 9 a.m. to celebrate, Baltimore, the Maryland Food Bank, our friends at Window Nation, and of course Jiffy Lube and the Maryland Lottery, and I'll have what's remaining of my Snap tickets and my peppermint payouts and all of this stuff. But we're going to be celebrating charity, celebrating the community, telling 100 stories of the community that week, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we're talking about a Festivus for the rest of us. So, and it will be presented by our friends at the Maryland Lottery, which brings me to my next guest. And I gave him a couple of days because I needed at least a couple of hours after the Cleveland Browns were eliminated. I guess, it takes about 48 hours for the whole thing. Ray Lewis would call it the 24-hour rule when you win. I give it about 48 hours when you lose a playoff game to come out and think, like, what happened? And this could be happening to Ravens fans next week because it's happened before. And I had Jared Johnson on the show talking about it a little bit this week about the disappointment of all this. John Martin joins us now. He's the executive director of all things Maryland Lottery and Gaming. I was at Hollywood Casino watching Joe Flacco. We had a promotion. We had tickets. We had fun. People won. Somebody yelled, "I won $10." I said, awesome. First weekend of football season, the games weren't great, John, and that stinks. But more than that, I rooted for the Cleveland Browns, and they let me down. And I know you would have a hard time believing that that's true, but from my soul, I felt one with Joe Flacco and Jim Schwartz. I just want to pass all my condolences to you, and now we got to go play the Texans.
Well, thank you very much, Nestor. You said 48 hours. Let me put this at you. 60 years.
I know.
It's not 48 hours. It's 60
I know.
years. So that's all right because I am more than 60 years. So who knows? Maybe next year, as the saying goes. But what's fun? It's a nice ride. The clock struck midnight. Unfortunately, somewhere in that.
And it does for everybody except one team. Like, that's the thing. That's my point in all of this. Is there's a lot of disappointment. It's going to be doled out this weekend too. You just hope it's not here.
Yeah, and I'm glad we're not doing the show in Philadelphia or Dallas. I'll just say that right now.
Right. I mean, that's what so I had John McClain on this week, the general from Houston. He's Houston Chronicle, 47 years, back to Pastorini and the Oilers and all those teams that we were all trying to beat Terry Bradshaw and Franco Harris at that point. So he's covered football all these years. And, he's down there. And I thought to myself, they haven't won either, right? Like Detroit. We'll talk about Detroit this week because they finally won a playoff game. And we really have an embarrassment of riches here. And I guess this could bring me into – I had a question because I gave away tons of these up at – like everything I had in my bag. I got to go see Roz before the 5th to get fresh games. And part of it was like, sure, I want to get rid of the holiday games. And then I found a couple of these Ravens tickets. And I said to you, these are still like on the street. It costs us different places. You can still play. But more than that, like, there are people winning stuff this week that have to go throw footballs in 20 degrees, and their names aren't Lamar Jackson, and their names aren't C.J. Stroud, and they're not getting paid as much, but they can make pretty good bank this week by throwing the football, right?
They can have some fun, and that's what hopefully this is all about. You're correct. Even though the second chance promotion contests have ended on the Ravens ticket, you can still go and purchase both the $5 and $2 Ravens scratch-off tickets at any of our lottery retailers. Those games will be still in market. Plenty of cash prizes still available in both of those games. And we typically keep those games in market until well after the Super Bowl. When focus starts to go from football to baseball, we'll wind down after the Super Bowl, after the last parade is over, and then we'll start to focus on the O's and spring and not having freezing temperature and 6 inches of snow and all those other nasty things that some of us are dealing with this week.
Well, I know we got winners out this week, and we've had lots of things going on in sports wagering and different things. It is it's a fun, different time of the year, and it was amazing to be in a casino for football. And Hollywood's interesting because Young people can come into the restaurant part of it,
Yep.
ID to get into casinos. Things have changed. My wife's like, I need my ID. I think I left it in the car and it's raining. But for you overseeing this part of it, and I guess the fun of football, and we always tell people to slow the roll and see where you are and all of this. But there is a spirit around football, right? And around everybody getting together, no matter what team you root for. And I'm pretty non-denominational now. I feel sorry for anybody that hasn't won, because it's fun to win, and we might win again. And for everybody that doesn't remember the last couple of times, this is the time of the year where dreamers dream in a lot of ways, right?
And it is fun to win, whether your football team is winning, you're winning on a scratch off ticket, you're winning on a jackpot game, you're winning in a casino, whatever the win is. It certainly is fun, and we hope again people are playing responsibly. They have a plan, they're sticking with it, and we try to make some interesting promotions, things maybe we haven't done before here at the Maryland Lottery. I talked a few minutes ago about how cold it is. We have a promotion now, Nestor, with our Keno players. It's called the Keno Ice Cold Cash. And when I tell you how it's played, this will sound a little bit familiar. We did a similar thing in the summer with when the weather was hot, and it goes something like this. You take your non-winning Keno tickets. Actually, I guess they can be winning or non-winning. I'll have to check out. Can we get legal on the phone? Can we get them in here? We'll figure it out. But a Keno ticket is what is the entry point, and you enter them into your My Lottery rewards account, and then we watch the thermometer, and as the temperature falls, the prizes go up, so that next week when we select the 20 or the 5 winners next week, a promotional run for 4 weeks, 20 winners in total, based on the low temperature this week. If it's below 25 degrees,
Oh, well, hold on.
we're already there.
We're taping on Wednesday. There's 5 inches of snow where I am, and I'm not in the Hereford zone, just so everybody knows. My last status on Facebook, literally as of this morning, I'm going to hold it up. My location, 9 degrees. So what does
9 of
this
them.
indicate? 9 degrees. We're already 25. 25 was last week, John. 9 is what I saw,
So each week of the promotion, we look at the temperature for the last week. So this week, when we get the people entering their tickets and we select the 5 winners next week, based on the temperatures this week, 9 degrees, some people reporting 9 degrees. That means $10,000 will be up for grab for those 5 winners. And if the temperature should get between 25 and 34 degrees, which might be next week, $7,500. Temperatures between 35 and 44, $5,000. If we get to that rarefied 45 degrees and above, $2,500. So you see, people are now rooting for cold temperatures. That's how this thing works. Keno Ice Cold Cash.
Well, Keno's an indoor game primarily, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, so like doing it in the winter and having some sort of hall effect, because look, I hang out in places like Costas and different places where I see people playing Keno. I always tell you, I remember trying to explain Keno to people back in the 90s when Buddy Rugow came into the studio, and I'm like, so it's like numbers on a board and you pick a bunch of them. And then I went to Vegas and I'm like, oh, I get it. Now I sort of understood the game better, but it's a fun indoor. It's a I don't what do we call it? It's not a parlor game, but it's a fun game. It's
a social game. It's
a
a nice
social
social
game. Thank you. That's
It's a
what I
nice
mean.
game. You get there
game.
with some friends, when you can. Maybe you get a couple folks involved, and each
I
one.
equate it to bingo because I'm from Dundalk. It's it's a
There
fun
you go.
it's a fun game like that.
There you go.
Without
That's
the
exactly.
stampers, though. You didn't need the stampers there. I didn't need it. John Martin, the executive director of all things Maryland Lottery and Gaming, is here this week. Jim sends me, because I'm affiliated with the Maryland Lottery and Gaming, and I'm proud of that. I'm on the mailing list, and I get this. Jim sends me a thing, and I love when the headline, and I always denote it before you come on. I want to talk to John about it. Dundalk gets my attention. The lead is Dundalk Lottery players scores $146,425, while others across the state hit for $50,000. And I'm thinking to myself, I look at these every week looking for I need that extra digit. Like my wife needs to have 3 digits on Powerball or Mega Millions. I need to see like $1 million to think it's a lot of money, or even like 500,000. And I think, oh, it was only 146. And I'm thinking somebody's walking around Dundalk with a $146,000 ticket waiting to call over. And I had a friend last week said, if I won, I would be calling John Martin. I'd be over there right now cashing my ticket. I wouldn't be waiting. But you guys do this every day. A big number pops up in a place like Dundalk, and you sort of Doug waits to hear, or you guys wait to hear, hey, I wonder who the lucky person is, because you know something hit, right?
We have great stories at mdlottery.com, and they are from Oakland to Ocean City and everywhere in between. And you're right. It's fun to look at the stories, kind of dream about what you would do in those situations. And people have this various persona they develop for their winning photo opportunity, or when they relate their story to us. Fast Play has progressive games. You alluded to that here with your Dundalk winner, which means every draw we have of a Fast Play, or every ticket that's sold for Fast Play, and they're sold from $1 denominations up to $30 denominations. But the prize pools will vary. And every time we have a progressive jackpot, for every ticket sold, a couple pennies go back in the pot, and those progressive jackpots grow. We had a woman who goes by the name of Silver Dove. Silver Dove.
You know what that sounds like in Dundalk? Because I grew up in the 70s. It sounds like a CB handle. You know, you're
Could
talking
be.
to Silver Dove.
Could be.
That's a
Could
great
be.
name. Okay, I like that. That's good.
And she is the lucky winner of a $953,280. That's a big number there for you, Nestor. 953,280. Progressive jackpot on our Fast Play Extreme Green game. So that's a lot of fun. She had come in to claim that winning ticket. We also had, I know you love this when we talk about the various professions of our winners. We have an auto mechanic from Columbia who
Thank
won.
God for auto mechanics, by the way. I
And
mean, I
thank
mean
God.
that for the bottom markers. It's like dentist. I couldn't do it without you. I can't get there without a mechanic, right? You have to
Well,
have a mechanic.
absolutely. They're hardly interchangeable positions, but we need them both. We need them both out in the marketplace. This gentleman won $57,777 by playing our $5 winning 7 scratch off game. So he's been here and won his prize. And then it's always great to talk about groups of people. When jackpots get big, like the Mega Millions and Powerball, and even the multi-match, which is our in-state game, it's always fun to see people band together and get a group of co-workers. And that was the case with the multi-match. You may recall there was a jackpot won on Christmas Day, $540,000 of a multi-match win. And as they came into claim, we realized it was a group. A
I
work
remember you
group.
telling me this story, because we got
Yeah.
together right after Christmas, and you're like, we had a really big winner, and I'm like, we want to get them to come forward. So they got their act together, and I can't wait to hear it. I feel like I need coffee for this from Rofi. Go ahead, because when you catch me up, I mean, it feels like I'm in the plot now. So somebody, how 500,000?
$540,000. There were 5 players who band together, and they've been playing the game together for some time. They come from various corners of the city. Some from Baltimore City, a couple from Baltimore County, and one from Anne Arundel County. And of course, the group leader is responsible, gets the money, goes and makes the purchase. This
And
one
they
happened
work
to be,
together, correct?
and they work together.
All right.
And so I guess the pretty interesting on Christmas Day, or the day after Christmas, when the ringleader calls and says, "Hey, we won," and of course they're thinking, "Yeah, right, whatever." But he said, "No, no, really," and yeah,
And as
they
I
showed up
point out,
here.
Doug Lloyd deals with this on a
Oh yeah.
weekly basis, having to call people and say you won. So the group leaders has won 540 some odd $1,000. There's
Mm-hmm.
5 of them, and now this person has to call the other 4 people or
Yeah.
text them or whatever. Okay, go ahead,
He
keep going.
he
This is
he
good.
gets to be Doug Lloyd before Doug Lloyd does.
And come on, you're putting me on. It's Christmas. No,
Yeah,
Doug, we really
we
won.
won. We won.
Okay, we
Yeah,
won
right.
100,000 and some change each, right? Like a little
Right.
bit. Okay.
Right. So they come in here, and of course they have various dreams. Some people want to use it for to splurge on a vacation. Other people want to pay off bills, whatever. but that's the beauty of it. Again, that opportunity to have some fun, particularly in an environment like this, 5 people together, big winners, and what a way to start the new year and wrap up their holiday season. So that was a lot of fun for them as well.
You always do this to me, John. You suck me in, and you're talking, and I'm thinking they gave me 100 grand today, just out of the blue. I could do anything I want with it. What would I do with it? Some days I would think to myself, I want to do this or that. Today, I'm getting to the point where I need some warmth. I need to be. I need.
See,
I would take a small percentage of that, just a couple grand, and just get me 4 or 5 days someplace. As Jimmy Buffett, the late great. It's hard to say late great
God
Jimmy
rest his
Buffett.
soul.
It's
What a
hard to
guy.
say that. I would fly off to Saint somewhere. You know what I mean? So that's what I'd be doing. John Martin is here. He is not flying off to the Super Bowl. Some folks may be flying off to the Super Bowl. What we're doing is Crab Cake Row. It's all going to be presented by the Maryland Lottery. We're going to have scratch-offs to give away. We're going to have soup to give away. We're going to have asks of our community for the Maryland Food Bank, as well as for 100 different charities that we're going to be featuring. Live radio. Yeah, I can still do it live after all these years. We'll see. Most important thing, John, and my wife's been on me about this. Don't, because I'm a hydration guy. You know this, right? I drink a lot of
Yes,
water.
yes.
Not too much when you're doing live. There's a delicate balance of 8 hours of live radio in a bar with people doing things, because that was always the hardest part at the barn on Monday
You know
night. I got
what?
Ray Lewis there. I got a
Yep,
3 minute break. I got to
yep.
make it to the bathroom, make it back, get into the break. We got live radio, got to hit traffic. I got top of the hour. I was like a real radio guy back in the day. So
You
I'm
can
going to
always play the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
listen, they thought Joe Flacco wasn't going to have
That
toys in
was
the pocket, and he came back and the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. See, you're giving me, I
I
know
mean,
all
that's
the
it's
long
that's
songs.
six
Inagata
that's 6
DeVita,
minutes. There you
Stairway
go.
to
You got plenty
Heaven,
of time.
Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
Oh,
Listen,
classics.
let me tell you
Classics.
what, there's things you don't know me, John Martin of the Maryland Lottery. Let me tell you, I was a DJ for weddings and parties and bar mitzvahs, and I did all of that in the 90s. So again, it's the same issue. You're at an event, you have to go to the bathroom. You're the DJ, the bride and groom, they're cutting the cake. Like, you got to go to the bathroom because, like, the bar's open and they're giving you drinks and they're giving you a pitcher of water and lemons and different things. So I know all the long songs. I learned all those pretty early on. So I've got skills. I'm going to make it through a week. I know you're worried about me. Like, we were always worried about Jerry Lewis, whether he was going to, like, make
Oh,
it to late. Like,
that's
I mean, there were
yeah.
nights where you're like, and I admitted this week that I watched every Jerry Lewis Labor Day telethon, and I waited for Glenn Campbell, Engelbert Humperdinck, Lou Rawls. Oh, I mean, when Lou Rawls came on, but it was always about Charo for me when I was 6 years old, 7 years. It was all, that and also Captain and Tennille. I was a big Captain and Tennille fan. But these are the memories we have that I want to make those memories during Crab Cake Row with folks like you. So I hope
We
you
are
come out and join us. What else we got going on lottery wise?
we right now we are turning off radios and
No, we're not. No, we're not.
and mobile devices all over the place.
No, no, no. Everybody
What else
remembers
is
the
going on?
70s fondly. Come on.
Well, a lot of people don't remember the 70s at all because they weren't here. Guys like you and I were here because
Well, we
we're
should be
old.
telling them about it back
Yeah.
when things were
Well,
good.
yeah.
I
They
sound
were.
like a get off my lawn guy, right?
Yeah,
Don't I at
exactly.
this point? So for
Exactly.
for for lottery season and I have
Yep.
holidays and stuff. I always ask you this because I think it is important. At what point games become null and void, you pull them off the market? Because I did hand some holiday peppermints, and it's kind of like singing Christmas songs in January. You have to get rid
Yep.
of the Christmas songs in the act. But the tickets that we get from 2 weeks ago are still, you got 180 days, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Any winning ticket, you have 182 days to claim. So again, depending on the size of that winning ticket, for most people, it's not a tough decision. But when you get into some of those significant digits, as Nestor said earlier, you may want to make sure that you get your financial advice. You've got everything, all your affairs in order, and then come on down and we'll talk to you and make sure that you can go through the claiming process smooth and efficiently. But yeah, we look at games, particularly on the scratch off side. Are there any top prizes still remaining? And if that's the case, and if they're still selling through our 4,400 retailer network, 4,400 locations, then we'll keep them in the market. And for many of those, they have a typical life cycle of could be 9 months, could be a year. I mean, obviously the seasonal games, the games have a shorter span. We don't intend when we launch our holiday tickets in October for them to go much beyond February. Again, it's kind of a mindset. people think about that. The promotions go a long way to helping us kind of put some guardrails on there. We talk about holiday tickets. We just last week, or this week rather, announced our final cash prize winners on our second chance contest. We had 2 people win $100,000 in the second chance contest. You can go to mdlottery.com for details on their winnings. One is a Melvin Terry from Lanham, Maryland, and the other is a person from Washington, D.C., Siamak Ravantab. And people buy tickets in the district, certainly in Virginia, Delaware, Pennsylvania, all in the contiguous border communities. We welcome them all. We're an equal opportunity lottery here, Nestor.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was at Hollywood Casino the other night and I was giving out the O snaps. And I was thinking, like, I'm giving away sort of, holiday tickets. It's early January. Nobody questioned anything, but you've done a great job of marketing because I went over to one table and I gave it to 2 ladies. And again, I'm in a casino. These are ladies that are playing games. They're there. They're having a good time. They're taking a break and getting food. As much as even watching football, even though it was frigid watching Patrick Mahomes and Tua Tagovailoa, which is why we were there, avoiding Peacock. I went into all that last week. But I handed these to the ladies, and they said to me, "Oh, these are the ones that smell like gingerbread bread." And they were sniffing them, and they knew about it. So, and they were people are always appreciative when I give them lottery tickets out. We have lottery tickets to give away. We're going to be doing Crab Cake Road beginning on February 5th. John Martin, Executive Director of all things Maryland Lottery and Gaming, is here. We remind everybody, have a good time with these football games and do it responsibly. John, are we going to have a championship game here next week? Because I do worry about these lucky people that have won second chance on the Ravens tickets, that there's 2 folks who have a lot at stake this week in winning because they've already been selected to be in the game next week to pass for cash, and they need the game to happen in order to attend an AFC championship game in Baltimore. And I learned this because you and I were talking about the drive last week and famous failed efforts. We've had our own as well. But the 1971 AFC Championship game was played in Baltimore against the Oakland Raiders, and I look for folks that are still with us. And Fred Bolitnikoff is going to be joining the program next week, pending a Raven victory. So I got skin in the game here. I'm trying to tell stories. I'm trying to get jacked up for this AFC Championship thing. Are we going to win the Super Bowl, John? I mean, everybody expects us to win. It's not normal for us here in Baltimore. It really isn't.
Do you know if Bolitnikoff still has the stickum all over his hands?
Well, that was Lester Hayes on the other side, but that, times change, John Martin. There's a lot of things that were illegal then that are legal now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's a different world. It's a different world today, Nestor.
All right. Well,
it's a different world.
Good luck to us.
Yes, good luck to anybody who's still in the tournament, as they say.
Right. Well, except Kansas City and Buffalo and Houston, because they're in the way right now of what we need to get done around here to have a proper Festivus. Hey, I appreciate you coming on this week. As always, appreciate all that you do. We'll get together next week, and fingers crossed. I mean, my wife found the video of me blubbering I told Jared Johnson this. In 2006, when we lost that game to the Colts. It's the Colts, John. I'm a Baltimore kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was really, really, that was a tough civic thing. And I don't want to be dealing with that next week because I had to do a lot of therapy here on Monday mornings as a sports radio show host for 20 years after losses. I don't want to do that with this team. I want Lamar to deliver. So
we'll see what happens next week.
John Martin, Executive Director of all things Maryland Lottery Gaming, reminding you to do all this stuff responsibly. Have a good time this week. As an old movie said, get it up and keep it down, and do what we need to do here to have fun with your gaming and do it responsibly. John, I'll see you next week. I'm getting fresh tickets. Luke Jones is out in Owings Mills right now. If there's any breaking news, you'll get it first on the WNST text service. As always, Mark Andrews maybe going to play. I don't know. It's a big week around here. We're trying to celebrate appropriately. A lot of great conversations with a lot of football folks, a lot of former Ravens, a lot of analysts, a lot of Hall of Fame voters. Lots going on. Doing a lot of football here right now, as we should be doing, which is our heritage after 25 years. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore positive.